Little Ava Jannath was a bright and very promising 11-year-old girl from Leicester. She had a dream of one day becoming a schoolteacher. Sadly, Eva's dreams and innocent plans for the future were shattered in 2017 after she died in a horrific incident while on a school trip with the Jamaica Girls Academy when she fell from the Splash Canyon ride. The tragedy involved Ava getting propelled from the Splash Canyon River Rapids ride at the Drayton Manor theme park. She was a fighter and tried fiercely to get back on the boat on that miserable day, but destiny had something else in store for her, and she drowned after a courageous fight that lasted for several minutes. The heartbreaking incident could have been prevented if one of the school staff accompanied the little ones on the dangerous boat ride that has a history of incidents. The whole ordeal could have been prevented in the first place if the park was not negligent and bothered to learn from previous incidents and people's complaints. This is a story of Ava Jannath's death by the infamous Splash Canyon ride at the Drayton Manor theme park in Tamworth Borough in Staffordshire, England. The Splash Canyon ride opened in 1993 and was themed around a western mining town. It is a water rapids-style ride where guests sit in a boat and are sent down a choppy river. It consists of 21 boats, each holding 6 people. The minimum height to take the ride is 2.95 feet. However, anyone under 3.6 feet must be accompanied by an adult. The ride was closed after the Ava Jannath incident, mainly because the park was drowning in debt and declared bankruptcy. The park was later sold to the French company Looping Group and became Drayton Manor Resort. The Splash Canyon ride reopened after getting a complete overhaul on August 11, 2021, as part of a new themed area named Adventure Cove. On Tuesday, May 9, 2017, Ava Jannath and a large group of other students from her school were on a school trip to Drayton Manor theme park. Everyone was having fun as the kids laughed, giggled, and made a lot of noise, and joyfully took rides and swooshed down slides. They were having a great time. Soon, Ava and 5 other girls from her school found themselves boarding one of the boats on the Splash Canyon ride. As the boat began moving, the young girls began joking around and swooping water with their hands to splash on one another. What they were doing was something that is not allowed, but the chances that they read the rules on the sign before boarding the boat are probably slim to nothing, and it is unlikely that the operators and workers reinforced these rules. They were merely children, having the time of their lives with little adult supervision. Nevertheless, they soon began competing on who would become the wettest, and Ava stood up to switch seats with another girl. However, Ava had no idea that she probably chose the worst time to do it, because the boat was at a point in which it gained speed and the ride became a little bumpier, which is part of the ride designed to give the rider the feeling of a raft going down a rapid river. Just as she stood up, the boat hit a barrier and unfortunately, Ava lost balance and fell into the water headfirst. And the nightmare began because Ava did not know how to swim and her friends simply did not know what to do except scream. Initially, she was able to stand in the water because it was sort of shallow. However, the water was moving, the boat was moving, and she was moving with the flow too. She scrambled towards the boat and tried to get back on, but was unable to do so. And her friends could not help her, probably because their arms were too short to reach down, and because they were simply terrified. The boat was soon approaching the end of the ride, and she tried to escape the danger by climbing up the travelator that returns rafts to the start of the ride, but she failed. As a result, she tried to grip on the boat again, but it was too far, and because the water near the travelator is nearly 12 feet deep, she was sucked in below the water and consequently drowned. It took the park staff a whole 11 minutes to realize that a child drowned, even though they have staffed cameras designed to keep an eye on the boats and rides. Nevertheless, the CCTV camera pointed toward the Splash Canyon ride did not cover the section where she drowned. Eyewitness Teresa Atkinson was watching from a viewing platform with her son in his pushchair while her husband and his friend went on the ride. She saw the whole thing from beginning to end and screamed her lungs out, telling Ava to not move and keep a grip on the wooden part of the travelator she was hanging onto. She also screamed towards the staff for help, but no one heard her. Sadly, Mrs. Atkinson was confused at first and afraid to leave her son, who was in a wheelchair, alone, and when she eventually realized the imminent danger Ava was in, she left her son and tried to climb over a fence to get to her, but she could not get a footing on the fence. She then quickly called the park security booth and told them that a girl has fallen in the water. Sadly, the staff did not rush to save Ava, because their protocol dictates that if they get a call about an incident, they have to check their CCTV first to see if something actually happens and where. By the time they got to Ava and rescued her, she was in critical condition as her lungs were filled with water. The 11-year-old girl was airlifted to the hospital, but was pronounced dead a short time later. Ava and her dream were gone. The investigators did not have a hard time figuring out what happened, because most of it was captured by CCTV. The footage of the incident showed Ava standing as the boat hit the ride's side wall, sending her head first into the water. The footage then showed her wading along the ride, trying to return to her friends. She then attempted to climb an algae-covered travelator and fell off into a much deeper area of water. The investigators also found that the park failed in many areas. They revealed that the park's risk assessment in place was not suitable and sufficient, as it did not properly assess or address the risks of passengers being ejected and falling from the raft, despite previous similar incidents. They also found that there were inadequate control measures in place to detect a person in the water, as the CCTV covered only half the ride, and that the CCTV monitors were not suitable for observing passenger behavior appropriately. The investigators also concluded that no safety warnings were given to guests boarding the ride's boats. Warning signs were incomplete, and in some cases were not readable due to wear and tear. And worst of all, there was no real system at the park to rescue anyone who had fallen into the water. Drayton Manor Park Limited pleaded guilty and was fined £1 million, which it did not pay because it declared bankruptcy. The park shamelessly defended itself by stating that on the day of Ava's death, the ride operator was required to do too much, as he was training another member of staff, and there was no dedicated attendant watching the ride's CCTV to check for people not abiding with the ride's rules. According to official documents between 2011 and 2013, there were 3 instances at the park of people falling into the water at the Splash ride. Complaints were followed, yet the park did not make any changes. As a result, Ava lost her life. Ava's family world was torn apart by her death. Her mother spent years coming to terms with the death of her little daughter, who was described as a beautiful little girl who was full of love and always smiling. Words cannot describe the pain and loss we feel. We are devastated that we will not see our beautiful little girl again. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell button to get notified every time we upload a new video that will take you to the heart of the scenes and mysteries of some of the most terrifying incidents, accidents, disasters, and paranormal events from around the world.